No man in the world. No man in the world.
The measure of any society is how it treats its women and girls. It's women and girls.
We create
the smart, powerful, creative, accomplished young women.
We can fight.
I'm here because of you. I'm here because girls like you inspire me.
No man is big enough for us.
Many of these girls have faced
Recording in
unthinkable
progress.
obstacles just to attend school. Any society is how it...
Buckle up, buttercups. It's another episode of Surly Voices here on WMNF Tampa 88.5. My name is Liz. Joining me is Maria, my co-host. How are you, Maria?
I'm doing okay now. How are you? Had a little technical difficulty over here.
Difficulty, yeah. And for all of you who sent in messages during last week's show, which was pre-recorded, thank you. We love you too. And we are going to be live and in charge today. So if you want to join the conversation, give us a call, 813-239-9663, or you can email to dj@wmnf.org. So, Maria, what do you think we should start the topics with today? Government shutdown, democratic successes and failures. Which way do you want to take it?
I think first we need to talk about Nancy Pelosi is not running for re-election.
Yay, finally.
How about that? Then we can move right on into the elections, sprinkle it with a little smattering here and there.
Okay.
A skosh of government shutdown.
Right.
Yeah. How's that?
That sounds good. So, we have a Democratic Socialist mayor now in New York. And by we, I mean the country. Because I don't mean the Democrats, because they didn't lift a single finger to elect the Democratic candidate. Instead, they either kept their mouths shut or got behind the well-worn and problematic Como. And so that, all these people always saying, vote blue no matter who. Well, the Democrats weren't out stumping for Zohran Mamdani. And is that maybe what put him elevated?
The people, I will say that the people did.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't, we get this. As a matter of fact, I think we devoted a whole show last week, recorded a whole show last week on the vote blue no matter who toxicity.
Right.
But I will tell you this, because I did, I volunteered to do phone banking with the Mamdani campaign this past weekend, and up even on election day. I was really impressed by a few things. First, he had over 100,000 volunteers.
Wow.
He got over 1 million New Yorkers to vote for him. But I will tell you this, as a person who does campaign work, I was really impressed by his team, his operation, his volunteer operation that trained volunteers to do this work. I was really impressed by the level of knowledge that they had about the candidate and about his policies and how they were able to engage and talk to voters, quite frankly. And it was everything that when we do this work, and Donna would agree with this. When we do this work, it is everything that you hope for in a team of volunteers doing. And I
Awesome.
was really, really impressed by that. Right? Like,
Yes.
I've not seen that level of knowledge about the why, the compelling why I'm going to vote for this candidate, why I think you should support him, and the level of joy and excitement about a candidate. I haven't seen that in a long time. I was really impressed by that.
And
I mean, um, we've got to get away from this idea of not just vote blue no matter who, but like we're not, at least we're not that guy kind of voting, you know what I mean, and
yes.
campaigning.
Yes.
We're voting against something and not for something, and it was refreshing to be in this space where people were actually voting for something.
Right. And it was, I mean, just the right thing at just the right time, because it's, you know, stress fatigue is a real thing. And so to see, you know, a glimmer of hope, I think made a lot of people feel better. Alan Dershowitz said that if Mondami had won, he was going to unalive himself on live television, and that meme's been circulating around. So,
Don't you threaten me with a good time.
exactly. Thank you. Another Epstein alumna. Anyway, do we think that? Well, another thing, another funny. Well, it's not funny, but it is kind of funny. People in New York talking about leaving and moving to Florida, and DeSantis is going to put a tariff on the imported citizens. That's the thing I saw this morning, and it's like, okay, yeah, I don't want a bunch of New York people moving down here because we already have too many people here. Period. But yeah, if you're gonna put a tax on them, sure, I'm for that. Yeah.
I mean, as long as it helps the average Floridian, right?
Well,
And I'm not so sure it does,
yeah.
because like we still need to understand what happened to all of that Medicaid money, that $10 million of Medicaid money. Um, but you know, the Texas governor said the same thing, right? Like I think that I think it's silly, number one. And I think number two, I think, you know, billionaires also have to understand that they get what they pay for. I've lived here long enough to know that like lower taxation sounds good until you have to send your kids to substandard schools,
Right.
right? Um, and when you have a public education system and an education system like you do in places like New York and New Jersey, um, you're not bringing your kids down here to go to school, right?
I would venture to say that most New Yorkers talking about moving out of the state are older, not elderly, but maybe the elderly too. I don't think that these are young parents or middle-aged parents.
But at the end of the day, those folks still need to they still need to get services, right? The older you are, the guess what? You need a physician, you need physical therapy, perhaps. You need assistance somehow. Like you can't, you're aging into a thing where you need an educated workforce to support you, right?
Right.
And over the course of the last 4 years, and our Florida itself, assault on higher ed,
Yes.
particularly in research at our at our public institutions. You have physicians leaving the state.
Right.
You particularly have OBGYNs leaving this state,
Yep.
right? So it's great in fantasy, in theory, to say that I don't like what the majority of people chose, so I'm going to go somewhere else. You get sober real quick,
Yeah.
realizing that, hey, the grass isn't really greener on the other side. That's astroturf.
Right. And then after the first hurricane comes along, we'll probably see a big exodus back to
Exactly.
New York. Oh, wow. And then Dick Cheney died last week, and several things happened, or maybe not last week, maybe a few days ago. And Kamala Harris was out, putting this, oh, I'm so sorry for his loss and sorry for the family, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, you just killed any hope of ever getting elected again. I don't understand it.
I mean, I put it in perspective, right? Like when I saw that news, I reflected back on how terrible and how nefarious this person was.
Yes.
Right? Inexplicably nefarious, but in a much more patrician way, shall we say, than the thug that's currently in the White House.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I thought about. I thought about the contrast, like lied us into a war for the sake of oil driven empire and things like that. No bid contracts to his, the company that he was the CEO of before he was vice president. I thought about all of the things that he did, all of the things that we quietly raged about. And I don't mean like quietly raged about, really, but we questioned in in spaces like this, as opposed to getting out on the street and 7 million people going no kings, right? Imagine, right, if we had nipped it in the bud then.
Right.
Would we be here now? Kind of thing.
Right.
Right.
I mean, he was such a repulsive string puller that he used to be compared to Darth Vader, and he didn't have a problem with that. So, yeah.
I mean, there was a certain amount of grifting.
Yes,
because it wasn't so in your face that it was tolerated.
Yes.
Right. But here we are.
Right. Because he had interests in I don't know if it was Halliburton or it was.
Yes. It was Halliburton.
Yeah. And so, it financially benefited him to go to war. And so it's the grifting has been around for a long, long time. And speaking of grifting, the internet is on fire with memes of Erica Kirk and Erica Kirk and J.D. Vance.
Do you mean groping or grifting?
I mean groping and grifting. They're multitasking. And that is not dying down as quickly as I think they would want it to. But it's like, and for those of you who haven't seen the memes, and there are many, many good memes, it's at an event, and Erica Kirk is wearing a white shirt,
leather
leggings.
Yeah.
Black leather leggings, and then Vance is in a suit, and then they're embracing, and she's got her hands all up in his hair, And there's one shot of them where he's got his hands like on her hips. And so that has sparked all kinds of conspiracy theories like, ooh, wow. I mean, and let's face it, Charlie Kirk isn't even cold yet. And she's been, out speaking and stumping since go. And so there is now this theory. And I want to make sure that I tell you guys it's a theory. It's not any kind of proven fact that she and Vance have been involved for a while. This is not a new thing. And also, he made comments about his wife, Usha, who is not a Catholic like he is, that, I think she's Hindu.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope, I hope that one day, she sees the light and comes to follow Jesus and stuff like that. And I'm like, wait, she was Hindu when you married her. It didn't make that much of a difference then. And so then now there's a theory that he will divorce Usha and marry Erica Kirk. And that's the perfect, MAGA superstar team to take over the world.
The perfect Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
Sequel.
Yeah. So it's really interesting though that that you don't hear a whole lot of noise about that from the MAGA folks. Oh, she's just grieving. Well, okay. I don't grieve by running my hand through people's hair, but okay. Yeah. So where do we go with that? Do we follow that until, because if they did it once, it's going to happen again. There'll be another shot of them that we can say, oh, okay. So they did the first one and got all, excuse me, this uproar, and now they're going to do it again. And so we'll be looking for patterns and stuff like that. But my favorite was, she dressed like a couch to be more attractive to him because of the black, leather pants. But anyway,
Just like a sofa.
yeah, dressed like, yeah, because he's the alleged sofa lover. Anyway, so back to Zohran Mamdani, and it will take me a while before I'm able to pronounce anything well because I did not have enough coffee when I woke up this morning. So if you want to give us a call, 813-239-9663, or you can email to dj@wmnf.org. And Frank is holding up his coffee and teasing me that he's got coffee. So. What is your prediction for Zohran Mamdani? Is he going to stay the course, or is he going to sell out like 99% of the other politicians out there?
I was working in New York, like physically there, when de Blasio was elected, and we had a lot of hope for de Blasio, right? And he quickly disappointed.
Right.
He quickly compromised. I'm not so sure that that's the case with Zohran. I feel like if he was to compromise, he would have done so. In certain ways already. I think that he has the support of enough people in the city to basically call the shots, right? Like I was having this conversation with one of my professors last night, and we were talking about it. And, the fact that he said something about like Democrat, certain Democrat support. I said, well, you got to remember, he didn't have Democrat support, right?
Exactly.
He
Exactly.
he was reluctantly endorsed, and even to this day, some of them deeply resent the fact that um, he was support, that they did support it, right?
Yes.
So, and I said to him, I said, I think that, with respect, he said, well, Kathy Hochul. I said, well, Kathy Hochul's going into her own reelection. And quite frankly, she needs Zohran more than Zohran needs her,
Thank you.
right? And
Yes.
this is I think that in terms of leveraging the relationship, that he's in a really good position. You got to remember, he's had 100,000 volunteers. He's built the infrastructure to succeed. Like, I have not seen, like, and I worked on both Obama campaigns, right? And one of the things that I thought was the hallmark of the Obama campaign was its grassroots organizing component. This organizing was that on steroids,
Wow.
right? I was really impressed by the organizing. And she needs that in order to succeed.
Right.
So what can he get for working with her? He gets his agenda passed. He gets his agenda moved for universal child care. He gets his agenda moved for fast and free buses. Like, he's got a lot that he comes to the table with that he just can't get pushed around. I
Right.
mean, and that is my hope and take on the situation.
Okay. You're listening to Surly Voices on WMNF Tampa 88.5. You can give us a call at 813-239-9663, or you can email to dj@wmnf.org. So, aside from Mamdani winning the mayor's race in New York, New Jersey and Virginia both had victories for the Democratic Party there, and in Georgia, two of the new people on the Public Utility Regulator Board were Democrats. Wins all over the country. Actually, you could probably go down. I've seen handfuls of black folks elected to the office of mayor, and it's like the first time ever. And I'm like, how can it be the first time ever?
In Detroit, yes.
Yes.
And in Albany, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is America. That's why it's the first time ever in the 21st century. I mean, come on.
Right.
And the thing about it is that America will try everything else before it tries black women. Okay?
And yeah.
And
It's
so this
amazing.
is where we are.
Yeah.
We've put mayors in prison. They've been indicted. They've run like nefarious corporations and things like that. After we've put everything in the crapper, let's try black women.
Right.
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 I was looking at election results yesterday, and once again, the daughters of the Confederacy voted for their oppression. They never cease to surprise me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, they think they're holding on to their proximity to power, so
But we're supposed to vote blue no matter who.
Right.
We're voting at 90% for the Democrats. But then we get lectured by them as we complain too much.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's almost as bananas as like some of the stuff coming out of Deborah Messing's mouth yesterday. Okay?
Oh, I missed that.
Oh,
What did she
Deborah
say?
Messing is losing her mind over Zoran's victory. Losing her mind. Like, and this is the other thing that, like, I'm personally outraged by is the degree of tolerance for Islamophobia type
Yes.
racism.
Yes. Somebody likened his election to 9/11, and I'm like, what? Eh, It's absolutely appalling. I have an email here from Fred, and Fred says, your discussion on the loss of taxes and degrading of social programs, education, etc. Please see Robert Redford movie Lions for Lambs. It's 20 years old, but it speaks to the two-tiered society of Newt Gingrich, Dick Cheney, et al. Man, Newt Gingrich is another one that I'm not going to be sorry to see go. But his comment to the rich, gifted student is, wake up. You can live in a gated community and drive your Jaguar around, send your kids to private schools, but if the roads have potholes, if your technical service society, nurses, teachers, engineers are undereducated, what kind of world do you live in? Thanks, Fred. I will be looking for that movie. And we have a text message that says, I'm moving to New York City for cheaper rent and free food. We should bring it here. Yeah, not as long as DeSantis is the governor, I'm afraid. Let's talk to Simon in Lakeland. Hi, Simon.
Hi, good morning, ladies. I think that what the result of what happened in New York City is a failure in the education in the United States, and I think Alexander Solzhenitsyn, his book, Warning to the West, I remember he had a Russian proverb in the book, and I think it went to the extent of, when it happens to you, you'll know it's true. And so we'll see what happens in New York, but I'll leave you with this as far as bringing out the definition of Islamophobia. I put that, is that in the same category as Israelphobia? There is no phobia of Islam. So it's a political entity. More than a religious entity, Dr. Cole.
I would disagree with that, Simon, because there is Islamophobia everywhere, even in Tampa, because it's happened before. And to say that it's not a valid thing is not correct, because
look at what
how are you conflating a political state, a government, with a religious belief?
Well, it's known that the entity of Islam is more of a political ideology.
That is not true. That's
not
like
true.
saying that Judaism is the same as Zionism, and that's simply not true.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Jewish people who are not Zionist. Period. Those are two different. You're talking about a faith tradition and a government.
Right.
And to conflate the two is wholly and completely mental and emotional gymnastics.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
I've mentioned several times on the show, Simon, that when I was in law school, I studied Jewish law. I also studied Islamic law. And so that's an area that I'm comfortable touching on, because I had the best teachers in the world. I had my Islamic law professor had been a political prisoner in Sudan. Mm-hmm. And so, no, it is not. It is a religion. Muhammad, the prophet, is what this religion looks to for guidance. It's not a political faction. No, it is a genuine religion, and very ancient genuine religion.
If you look at the disparity between the human rights, United Nations human rights declaration.
You're talking about a government. You're not talking about a faith. If you want to talk about a government and you want to talk about human rights and international law, let's do that.
Yeah.
But what you're talking about is you are talking about a racial bias against someone's religious beliefs.
Right.
Period.
Okay, Islam is not a racial bias. First of all, the 1990 declaration, the Cairo Declaration of Islamic, signed by 57 countries, is that Sharia law supersedes the human rights issue.
Again, you are conflating religion with law.
But
Yeah.
Two different things, my friend.
my friend,
We're moving on. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for calling,
Thank you, Simon. Have a good day.
All right.
So now, wait a minute.
Oh,
I've been on for a while. I can't believe we're still doing that.
Thank you.
yeah.
Like, how are we still doing that? The whole world. Now, there was a time when we first started cavorting with Simon. There was a time when there were many people, people in the Goyim, people who were Muslim, people who were Christian, who were just watching this, and they weren't sure what they were seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And people would say innocent things like, I took a class in school. I don't think I'm qualified to talk about it, because that had been the talking point that we accepted in order to allow Zionists to run this country. And now that's gone. That whole, the veil has been torn off of that. No one believes at this point that there is no Islamophobia, that the Israeli state is not genociding. There are very few people left on the planet who still believe that. And the only people who still believe it are the people who benefit from it. Now, I would venture to say, and I'm not a doctor, okay? But I would venture to say that would people continue to insist that this isn't a thing, that Muslims are not discriminated against, that conflating the election of a 32-year-old American with 9/11,
Right.
which was a catastrophe where we lost thousands of people on U.S. soil, that if that isn't bombastic, hyperbolic Islamophobia, I don't know what else to name it. So, Simon, I'm going to say that this is approaching psychosis. Right? Everybody can see it. You're the only one that thinks the emperor is fully clothed, sir.
All right.
And stop calling in and taking up our time with that.
Well,
Racist AF is all I could say.
all right. So, welcome to Donna, who I didn't know was on already.
Hey,
Hey, Donna.
hey.
And how are things up in the wilds of Minnesota, Donna?
So, we won the races that we needed to win. When I don't really, unless it's presidential year, I don't really talk about who I am working for, because it makes the people in the lowlands, aka Florida, go a little bonkers, right?
Yes.
And then there's also a movement afoot inside the Democratic Party to censor and alienate from the industry progressives. Right. And so I'll give an example. There was a local person that I was working with, right? And they're a bit clinical. And
Clinical.
they're in the political scene, but that could be anyone. So their cover is guaranteed because it's Tampa. Well, anyway, this person said that, and this person has also been known to not be the most honest person, that because of some things posted on my Facebook page, that they shouldn't work with me. Now, let me tell you something. When I touch a race, we win a race.
Right.
So where I was working in the city council races in Minnesota, we won. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Where we concentrated our work, we won. Everywhere we put focus, we won. This is always true for when I work on campaigns. But in Florida, people say, oh, you're not, someone who is known to lose many races is giving me good advice. Okay, all right, we'll go. Yes, like that's how it is. So, I would say that Minnesota is still getting it right, but I will say this, and because I can't say too much, that there is the party is split. And as much as we were happy about the results on Tuesday night, there is going to be a rumble in the jungle, because now that Zoran Mamdani has risen to power of a city that's larger than a lot of U.S. states in New England, population bigger than Kentucky, Colorado. I mean, you can go down a list of states, right? That's a lot of power, and trillions of dollars rotate through New York City every day.
Right.
It is the financial capital almost of the world. And so now that you have this person moving the resources and overseeing the resources there, that is a clear mandate that Americans want something different. Now, the Democratic Party hasn't listened. We're still geriatric. We're still out of touch. I say we because I'm a registered Democrat, and I probably always will be for the foreseeable future. And the Democrats are going to die on the hill of serving the few at cost of the many. I remember I said that.
Yes. I think that's absolutely correct. Yes. Let's talk to Art in Lakeland. Hi, Art.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I just wanted to call say that not everybody is psychotic over in Lakeland. Yeah.
Okay.
What I have found, though, over here is nobody knows the definition of communism or socialism.
Yes.
They just equate both of them as exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Not realizing that, our government has been partly socialistic since we've owned trains and we own
Wait,
airports.
but hold on. Let me interrupt you. Many countries in the West right now are.
What?
Are what?
Many countries in the West are socialist countries.
I agree.
To varying degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's how far you want to go, but they have no comparison between the two, though. I mean, communism is so much farther.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well, it's because they listen. Yeah.
Keep telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
It's
listen
because
to.
we live in a state whose education system is ranked 48th to 50th in the country regularly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure most people have never even read Karl Marx because they think Marxism is Nazism.
Right.
Just read the book.
Well, America in general, not only Florida, the education system in America is not anywhere near world class. And so that's how you have all the Fox viewers just parroting the words that they hear other people say. So if somebody says he's a communist, that's what they do. They all come up and say, "Oh yeah, you're a communist." And
that's what their fearless leader says.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for calling, Art.
Oh, you are welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Excuse me. It deserves to be said here to punctuate that anytime you're receiving a service that you couldn't pay for yourself, like student loan, Pell Grant, food stamps, SNAP benefits, public education, Medicaid, regardless of your ability to pay, that is socialism, my friends. And we have it here in this country already.
Right. And you know what? The military has a form of socialism because they have all their little hospitals and clinics set up. And they're not paying gazillions of dollars to get health care. They get it either cheap or free.
Yeah, Tampa VA is very inexpensive.
Mm-hmm. So that's something. Speaking of SNAP.
Oh, shoot.
Ooh, girl, I was reaching for that button quick. But anyway, yes. Now, the government has been shut down about a month now. So Trump is now officially the record holder in numbers of government shutdowns. But his answer, this is how the Republicans are spinning it. It's the Democrats' fault that the government is shut down because all they need is 6 people to jump on their side of the healthcare issue, and the shutdown would be gone. So Trump is withholding funding for SNAP benefits, and if that's not extortion, what is it? But he's been ordered by a federal judge to release funding for the SNAP benefits, and let's see if that happens. How can anyone in good conscience deny food to the people in their country? How?
It's he has his finger on the chaos button. Remember the easy button?
Yes.
He has his finger on the chaos button, and anywhere that he can extract chaos and get everybody's minds off of the wealth transfer and the theft that is going on.
And the Epstein files. Let's not forget
the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this is, right? So the whole Marie Antoinette thing, the Gatsby themed party that was held in Mar-a-Lago last week, that's more satirical than Fitzgerald actually wanted it to be.
Right.
I mean, that's a satire of a satire. It's nuts. Weirdo.
But yeah, and if this is not a Marie Antoinette moment, but yeah.
Part of it for me that's so dystopian is that we literally shut down the government to prop up a failing healthcare system.
Right.
Can we talk about that?
Yes.
We should literally be using this time to advocate for why this is not going to work long term, and that we need universal health care, right?
Right.
And then negotiate with the terrorists for subsidies so that we can come back and talk about universal health care. But why are you starting with, let's just get more subsidies for this failing system, and we're just going to shut down everything for the foreseeable future.
Right.
None of this makes sense to me. The fact that we have all of these billionaires, right? One of them, has more wealth than 52% of us in this country. And we're sitting here arguing over feeding people.
Yeah.
That's the moral bankruptcy of it all. Like, charity is no substitute for justice. And we need economic justice in this country.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a soundbite for you.
Yeah. Put some taxes on all these gazillionaires, and we'll have plenty of money to fund everything. We won't have to be arguing over whether we're going to feed people. Let's see. There's an email. Think about it. Stop signs are socialism. Bob in West Melbourne. Stop signs are socialism. I'm going to have to think on that, Bob. That's pretty deep for me right now.
You're not sufficiently caffeinated.
Exactly. This is from this. All right. It's Sarah sent this from Anonymous. Oops. Thank you for dosing Simon with the real world and not Zionist propaganda. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So where do we go next? I mean, we can talk about Trump until the cows come home. It's not going to make any difference. It's not going to move the needle. My question is, what does it take to move the needle with these MAGA folks? Or are they too indoctrinated, inculcated to do anything?
All right, so let me pivot there. I think that the question on the table is, are Democrats going to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory?
Of course they will. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Yeah, so right now, the writing's on the wall. Everybody wants an alternative. People are ready to vote for their toilet bowl seat. Okay? So this isn't a measure of how successful the messaging has been for Dems, although I really want it to be, because we could just sweep the board. We could just set this thing right, align the party with the base, right?
Right.
Figure out what that is. Stop letting the kids up at Quinnipiac tell us what that is. Let's hit the streets, really talk to people that aren't voting, and stop polling these likely voters. These likely voters are the ones we can't depend on. These likely voters are the ones who think that Mamdani is the coming of Al-Qaeda, right? It's those same people. the likely voters that we go out and knock on their doors every 2 years. Why don't we do this? Why don't we actually do what Obama did, what OFA did, where we start talking to people who are not already in the mix, not these dyed-in-the-wool party loyalists.
Yes.
Tell us what to do and are always off base. Why don't we just talk to the 93 million people that didn't vote in the presidential election and left us in this T.S. Eliot's wasteland? I'd like to do that. And I need some money. Okay? I need some money. I need a PAC. And we need to start talking to likely voters because they're the ones that keep screwing us.
Yeah, that's true. And people sit home because they see it all happening. You know, it's the party, the regular party folks who are always, you know, doing whatever they want. They see a candidate that everybody was excited about get shunted off to the side and pushed off a cliff for an old white dude who had no original ideas and did nothing good in his public service life before that. Yeah.
The other day, I brought that up and I said, is anybody noticing how Kamala Harris is on this tour and then she's like going around like slowly like roasting Joe Biden? And the person I was talking to threw a piece of paper and a pen over their head and said, they're the past. They're over.
Yeah.
They can beat each other up if they want to. That's done.
Right. And I think that factors into Pelosi's decision not to run again because she sees the writing on the wall. She sees that it's a decayed, crumbling, archaic system, and she's not going to benefit from the new system. So she's taking...
My question is, what are you going to do about Chuck Schumer?
Well,
because I'm good with Nancy Pelosi not running again. One thing I will say though is I have mad respect for that woman's ability to count and whip votes. I've never she's never brought a vote to the floor that she knew she wasn't going to get. Right. And quite frankly, she was masterful at it.
Masterful is the word.
But oh boy, Chuck E. Cheese.
Look, with his glasses hanging off his nose, all the time.
And quite frankly, Hakeem
Jeffries, yes.
The best news I got last night was that Blake is going to run against Richie Torres in New York.
Oh.
Richie Torres has and Richie Torres now has a primary challenger in Michael Blake. Michael Blake is the Bronx representative on city council. He did run for mayor at one point. And once Zoran ran, he immediately threw his support behind Zoran.
Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah.
And Michael Blake is very popular city commissioner in New York. There's a good chance of besting Richie Torres in that race.
Awesome. Let's talk to Christine in St. Petersburg. Hi, Christine.
Good morning, ladies. And as always, thank you for your brilliant conversation. I learned so much from all of you.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. And I have a lot to learn. I love politics, but I still have a lot to learn. In any event, I first want to say I'm so excited about the new mayor of New York. I'm an ex-New Yorker, and I'm so jealous and wish I was there. But in any event, I want to speak to something that you talk about a lot, and Donna mentioned it particularly. Seems to be right. The question is, we're in a good place right now. The Democratic Party, we had all these wins. How do we move to the next step forward and getting out of this big mess that our country's in? I feel like there's a few different types of Trump supporters. There's the MAGAs, there's the Christian right, and then I feel like there's those people that are they're sort of not in those two groups, but they feel like they're going to make more money or their taxes are going to decrease with Trump. How do we get them on board? Because I feel like that's, out of those three populations of Trump voters, that group seems to be the way in, if there's any way in at all. I have a very good friend who was super liberal when we were in college together back in the 90s. I'm feeling old telling the story, but we went to protests together. We always voted Democrat. We bemoaned if Bush would have beaten Clinton. We threw a huge keg party when Clinton won. Yada, 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 right? Well, he voted for Trump, I recently found out, all these years later. And when I asked him why, his answer was, well, I did it for selfish reasons. I'm a single guy. I have nobody depending on me. As far as the environment and immigration and DEI, I'm all pro that. I don't like what Trump's doing at all. But it's money. So how do we convince these people, and this is just an average guy, he doesn't make $200,000 a year. How do we convince these people that that's not going to happen? Feels like there's a lot of data analysis or something we need to do. And I feel like if the Democratic Party uses economics as the speaking point, everything else is kind of going to fall in line and we have more success. And that's all I wanted to say.
All right.
Your
Thanks
thoughts.
so much for calling, Christina. Before Donna breaks that down, Donna and Maria give the real answer. Let me give the uninformed answer. Why are we so worried about winning over Republicans? Democrats should be focused on the people that they are supposed to be representing. And we just saw across the country that the people who are voting when a good candidate who has good ideas is running, why aren't we going after our own base, which is more than sufficient? All right, go ahead, Donna.
Donna, let me go, and then I'm gonna let you play cleanup on this one. How's
Okay,
that?
got you. I
Okay,
love it.
because I think that you are deserving of playing cleanup on this one. I believe, first of all, I'm just going to assume that the person that Christine is talking about is a white man, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to ask people to reflect on what Professor Eddie Glaude said several years ago, 6 years ago, when Trump won the first time and he was on MSNBC. He goes, people want to tell you that it's about economics when the data proves that it is about race.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what what her friend, even though he agrees with all of this stuff, and his insecurities aren't insecurities about his financial circumstances, because one thing that we know is that people vote aspirationally when the reality of it is they're closer to having to get SNAP benefits than they are being the next billionaire,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it is always about race. When people vote against their financial interest, it is about race. He is closer to needing help. Those social services that we talk about, the health insurance that he can't afford, he's closer to needing help. And one thing that privilege affords you the luxury of having is the aspiration that you will be the next billionaire. Donna's on you.
Okay. So when
You're breaking up. You're
Trump,
breaking up.
because okay, let me move because I want to do this. There's no way that this guy is voting for Donald Trump simply because it's money. Okay, if he thought the economy was going to improve under Trump, then he thought we were going to have another pandemic. The manosphere, specifically younger men, have been hyper targeted, micro targeted by the Trump administration. There was a whole movement, turning point, that most Americans had no idea that was going about in the webosphere. I would say that white men feel like it's their moment. They feel like they're going to get something that they haven't gotten. As always, the adjacency of white women means that they are the beneficiaries of that. And that's why they're going to stick to their guns. Even if we don't pick up as much as we can next year, people are still going to vote that middle that is dying and will probably be dead by the time they jack up the marketplace and just burn people with instability that SNAP hasn't seen since the origin of food stamps in the 60s. And so they're tearing this country apart. If white men are going to ride with that because white men are doing it, then, let's go. Let's do it.
All right.
You see it.
So Frank gave me the finger about 30 seconds ago, so it's time to leave. And thank you for joining Surly Voices on WMNF Tampa 88.5.